What's up, world? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the EYMF podcast. This episode two. It's your boy J.A. Smiley. And before we get started, definitely want to introduce my team. And yes, I said team because as you noticed, we added two new additional faces. CP, how you doing, sir?
What up?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Good. Before we get any further, team, we definitely want to let the two ladies introduce themselves. So I will definitely step away from the mic and let them introduce themselves.
Right. Yo, what's up, everybody? My name's Megan. Um, I met Josh like 3 years ago, and he told me he was gonna be starting a podcast last year. And then I reached out to him, and um, he basically told me he sent me the video, and I was like, "Oh man, that's so dope!" I was so hyped for him. And then he asked me to join the podcast, and I was like, all right, like, yeah, that's exciting. So a little bit about me. Um, Overall, I'm really like a big dreamer. I'm passionate about life. I'm a lover of people. Um, and I don't know, like I just feel like I always believe in things. Like, I don't know. I'm a little I'm a little nervous, but I'm a mom. That's a big part of my life. I've been a mom for quite some time now. Uh, my oldest is 21 years old. I mean, he's about to be 21, and my youngest is 6. So I have 5 kids, 4 boys, 1 girl, and that's a big part of my life. I've been a mom for a long time. But it's also a big drive. It's a drive for me. They keep me going. They keep me on my toes. They keep me, in the loop of things. And it's really a blessing to be a mom. And I think I do it pretty well. As well as I can do it. Um, Other than that, though, I'm really passionate about fitness. Um, Taking care of the mind, the body, and the soul. I think it's really important um, to take care of those things for like complete wellness of yourself, to be right and be okay. So this whole podcast, Elevate Your Mind and Faith, it aligns with everything that I'm about. So I'm really excited to be a part of something bigger than me. And that's just, that whole reach one, teach one thing. I really feel like when you can reach one person, that person can reach another person. And so it's just like a domino effect. And that's how we change the world. And that's how we change lives, is reaching one person at a time. So I'm really excited to be a part of something bigger than myself, build relationships with people and help people, because you never know how you can impact somebody, motivate somebody, encourage somebody just by telling your life story or things that have happened to you or how you deal with things. So I'm just, I'm here and I'm ready and I'm excited to be a part of this whole team and just, get things going.
Nice. Perfect. Well, welcome to the
Yay.
team, Meg. Definitely happy to have you. Thank you for sharing with us in the world a little bit about yourself and a little bit of background about you as a person. And as you all know, world, we will definitely get a little bit more of a background intro to Meg throughout book one. Cece, how you doing?
Yo, pretty good. I'm
Hey,
excited. Let me start off saying thank you guys for allowing me to be a co-host here. It's great to be a part of greatness in the making. It feels good. For those who don't
nice.
know, my name is Sierra. I go by CC. I've known Josh and CP for some years now. We go way back, high school back, maybe a little bit further. Let's see. I am 32. I'm a mom of one. I have one 6 year old. She'll be 7 this month. So I'm in the process of
Nice.
party planning. I do loans, I do taxes. That's what I do, my 9 to 5. But outside of that, I have my little small business I'm in the making of. I call it Miss Mommy. A jack of all trades. So like I'm doing t-shirts, I'm doing resin art, I'm doing chocolate covered strawberries. You name it, I can do it. I don't know. I don't want to get too in depth about me and like give it all away in one episode. So I guess, I'm gonna let the people get to know me. Y'all know me, but I'm gonna let everybody else get to know me.
Perfect. Sorry for cutting your introduction short, CC. But no, thank you guys for joining the show. We are very happy to have you all. I know the world is very happy to have you all. And let's get it going, y'all. So this episode here, y'all, episode 2 is titled "Playing the Cards You're Dealt." And as you all know, when someone tells you when someone tells you that you're playing the cards you're dealt, they letting you know you are handling whatever it is life is throwing at you. So that's pretty much what we want to discuss today. We're going to touch base on some deep rooted topics and deep rooted stories and deep rooted situations, and talk through them and see how we handle them. So I'll kick it off, you guys. I'll be the guinea pig for sure. When it comes to dealing with any type of life situation, playing the cards you're dealt can go multiple ways, right? It could be a situation where you might have four in a possible, right? Like you know how it is playing spades. You might get a four in a possible, and you're like, all right, look, man, I got these two aces, I got this jack that might ride, and I got a couple kings, but I don't know how they gonna play out if I play them right. Then you just might be trump tight. You like, you know what? Come on, nah, let's go. I got a smooth 7. I know we gonna win this hand. That's the same way you can look at life. You know what I mean? If you trump tight and you got a handful of spades and you already know you about to dog walk this team, it might be a situation where you come from a background where you have mom and dad. They both have well-paying jobs. They were taught the essentials to life where they were able to be in a position to put you in a position to set you up for success, right? So whether that's good credit, knowing how to manage money, owning property, having your own business, being in the careers, whatever the case may be, your parents were in a position where they put you at a seat where you have endless opportunities, right? Or it could be the opposite of that. It could be the situation where single parent household, or you have a traditional household, but one of the parents is still absent in a sense, right? Like, and that's something we could touch base on a little later, because that's probably even worse than being in a single parent household itself. But you could be in that type of situation where they don't have great income. You're living off the government. They don't have all the basic necessities of life, whether it's car, decent place to live, anything of that nature, right? So depending on where you're at in life, you have to know how to maneuver and get through those type of situations. So what I would say is personally, from my experience, I would say I was probably like a 4 in a possible. And the reason why I say I was like a 4 in a possible, I know I said it jokingly, but like all seriousness would be my background growing up with my grandmother and grandfather. My mother she was around, but she wasn't around. So like in a sense, like it's like this circle, right? And like inside the circle it's me, my sisters, my grandparents, but then right on the outside of that circle is my mom. Like we knew her, like we talked to her, we socialized with her, but it was not that mother children relationship. It was a little disconnect. It was more so like we knew you gave birth to us, but that's it. That's all. Like that's where the line stops. It's like nothing more, nothing less, right? So luckily enough, my grandparents, they stepped in and they were like, you know what? No, we're not going to let these kids go through this situation with me and my two sisters. We all left and went to our grandparents different ways in different times, of course. So like my oldest sister, she was with my grandparents from birth because my mother was so young when she had her. My middle sister, she left when I want to say she was about 3 or 4. And then I left and went with my grandparents when I was about 1 or 2. So if it wasn't for them, who knows where we would be, but they were there. So that's the 2 out of the 4 possible. And then to be honest with you, the other 2 would be my oldest sister. My oldest sister and her husband. They stepped in as we grew older, you know what I mean? Like they knew when to step in and what roles to play and how to assist and things of that nature. And that helped us out tremendously because, like I said, I was raised by my grandparents and rest in peace to my grandfather. But my grandmother got to a certain point where she didn't know how to assist and step in and what roles to play, to be very transparent. So if it wasn't for my sister and brother-in-law, who knows, where I would be, of course, with the assistance of my grandmother. And then that last possible was honestly me. That was me having the thought and having the mindset of, you know what, I'm going to take everything that I have been given in life and everything that I know what to do and what not to do, and right from wrong, and making the right decisions and things of that nature, and put it together and see what happens, right? Like that's all I had at that point. Like once you get to a certain age, the past doesn't matter. You can't keep riding on what you went through as a kid. So it's just like, all right, let's make something happen off of what I know and what I was built off of. So I would say I was like a four in the possible, So life is pretty interesting in that sense, but the different things that you experience, they definitely mold you and shape you. So
Most definitely.
I think I
Definitely.
took all those situations and made something of it for sure. So we
Definitely.
playing spades now. So
So
Oh,
so
snap.
you was a four in the possible.
yeah,
Four in the
yeah.
possible. Let's see. I say I'll probably like give me six. Give me a six. Give me a six.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
six. I got six because similar to your story, I didn't have my daddy, but I had my mom, my granny, and my grandpa. So, you know, mom worked, but I'm always at granny and grandpa house. Always. And I'm only saying that because my granny did just walk upstairs. She did just walk in the house. So, so I can hear her, and I'm pretty sure she hear me. But no, all jokes aside, they played a big part of my life. A big part of my life. Like growing up, sports, granny, grandpa. I had a stepdad, but I'm not gonna say he wasn't like like you got a stepdad, but he ain't really a father figure. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Right, right, right,
Got it.
right,
I
right.
because he was in the house, but not teaching nothing.
Okay.
I
Okay,
mean, if he wanted
He
to,
was there.
if I wanted to learn how
right,
to roll a blunt, you know, bags
Oh,
of
right,
drugs, but
right,
I'm good. He'll
right,
teach me that.
right,
But like
right.
morals and shit, nah. No.
like a fatherly role. That wasn't
Yeah,
right.
like a
Right.
fatherly role, no. But that's where I had my grandpa. And pretty much like he passed like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So it still affects, it still hits me to this day. I just break out of nowhere, just shed a couple tears here and there. Like it show on my phone like I got voicemails. Don't nobody leave me no voicemails, but I got a couple that's still there from him,
Mm-hmm.
and I just pressed play one day, and I was
Gotcha.
driving like I was just a wreck. I could have caused a wreck, but nah. So my granny, we real close. My mom, eh, as I grew older, I kind of like drifted apart, did my own thing because I don't agree with certain stuff. But it's granny and grandpa for me, similar to you, Josh. Granny and grandpa. Everybody else, really don't matter.
Okay.
Granny and grandpa.
Yeah,
I felt that.
That's
yeah,
I
what's up.
felt that.
yeah. I felt that one for sure. Definitely felt that. Definitely. Ladies, how has life circumstances and life situations shaped and molded you all to this point?
Man, I feel like I got a foreign apostle myself. Um,
Okay.
Actually, just hearing from you two, I feel like our grandparents have been, we were that generation that was raised by our grandparents
Yeah,
because my first two are
yeah,
my
Yep.
grandmas, like my mom,
Mm-hmm.
my granny, my dad, and my stepmom. And I'm not even gonna call her my stepmom. I'm gonna call her my mom. My mom and me, we don't have a strong relationship. My biological mom, but since the age of 4, my stepmom, my mommy, she has been in my life since the age of 4. So she has been that woman in my life, and it really hurt me to say it a couple of years ago, but it wasn't until I realized, it wasn't until COVID hit that I actually realized that I had her as my mom. Like for the longest time as a
Right.
kid, I wanted my biological mom there. I was just like, she had me. I want to be able to use her and go to her for things and talk to her about things. And she wasn't there. She just was not. Um, she was not very motherly, and I'm
Yeah.
thankful that my dad and my grandparents were there to raise me better. That has also taught me how to be a parent, how to be a better mom, what not to do while being a mom. So
Absolutely.
those are my four. My possible, that was my mom, my biological mom. But it was like it's a possibility. I might be able to come to her, I might not, and it's our relationship still to this day is so wishy-washy, so that's why she's my possible. But I've always had at least four strong people in my life. That's my dad, my mom, and my grandmothers. And I thank God that they were able to see my daughter right after she was born. They passed away shortly after, but just to have them in my life and raise me and then meet my child means a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are my
Yeah, that's
cards.
nice, 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 nice. Well, world, as you all see, the first three of us, we've all been dealt with the situation where we've had that sixth man come off the bench, right? Like we had somebody step in and save the day and put us in a position where we can kind of keep going, right? But Meg, we are very interested to hear to hear your story for sure. So
In the relation to hands being dealt, like spades, whatever, I'm not really sure. Like, so it's a little weird because I actually had both of my parents. Um, but they're I don't know if it's cultural or like, being an immigrant, them being the first, I'm a second generation immigrant, so they're the first generation to come here, foreign. Um, there was like no communication. They didn't know who I was. They didn't ask about my day. They didn't um it was just weird. Like I was just their kid, I never growing up in a two-parent household, both of them working hard every day. I didn't ever want for anything. I had good clothes, good shoes. Um, I had a home cooked meal every day. My mom, I don't think I had a frozen meal ever in my life from my mother to this day. Or anything like that. Like she cooks straight from scratch. So like the in that aspect, I had everything, right? So everything I didn't have to worry about those things. But relationship wise, I have a sister who's like 14 years older than me, and I have a brother who's 4 years older than me. And we really were really close, and that's like who we leaned on and who I went to for like advice or who I looked up to because my parents weren't really they were there but they weren't there. So I learned a lot about life from my brother and my sister. And then, the blind leading the blind, my friends. But um I didn't really have that communication, and I feel like, you know, it was a bit of a disadvantage for me because I didn't have anybody guiding me, telling me about life. You talked about like credit and this and that. Like it was almost like they just expected me to know these things. Like I knew what was expected of me as a child. I knew, good grades, behave well, respect my mom, my dad, do my chores, whatever, and that's it. But it wasn't like if I got bad grades, I got my ass whooped. Like,
right, right,
and
right.
but it wasn't ever like, oh, hey, why'd you get, a C? Like, what's going on? It was just, you better get your grades right. Like, that's it. So like,
I ain't never
I would
lied.
go to, so I would go to like my brother or my sister, and my sister was out of the house by the time, um, I was like 5 or 6. She had a kid young. We all had kids young, believe like it was I was 16, my sister was 17, and my brother was 19. So we all became parents pretty young. It was just it just sucked not having, like a parent relation. I didn't have anybody like older than me, older than my sister or anybody to really tell me about life. I was just kind of going through life, learning on my own what life was. And then the cultural shock of them being immigrants, I didn't have, they didn't couldn't understand certain things. Like I was had like to go to sleepovers or like, why are you friends with, so and so? They can't talk to their parents because there's that language barrier. And like it was just it was really different. It was really kind of hard growing up, just through that, because I didn't have guidance. And now that I'm a mom, Cece, you said, it helped you be a better mom. Like it does. Like it's helped me, know, what, if I lack, I'm not perfect. So like I know, like if I'm messing up, I'm like, all right, man, you gotta communicate. Cause sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like when you grow up a certain way, it can affect, your relationships, So like the
Hmm.
fact that I didn't have anybody to communicate with my feelings, my day, you know, I've had a difficult time expressing those things. I just swallow it, I just eat my day up, and that's not good. You got to be able to
Yeah,
express your feelings. Even as a
Hmm.
child, people think that you don't have when you have kids that, oh, they're just kids, they don't have stress,
they
they don't have
do.
this. Nah, man, your kid faces things every day. They're not,
Hmm.
to the scale of what we may face, but they have stressors, they have things
Hmm.
that, that they go through. And it's important for you to be available and let them know, like, hey, what's wrong, what's bothering you today, and let them communicate that. Because I feel like it took me a long time. I'm in my 30s. I'm 37, and it's taken me a long time to be able to learn how to communicate, even with friends or a loved one, or like a boyfriend or something like that. Like I don't know how to, so I end up having all this stuff inside, and then and then I blow up, or it comes out in the wrong way or whatever. So I'm learning to do those things. But yeah, I mean, I think um I'm not sure where my hands were there, but I did definitely have one possible, and that was me. I've always wanted
No,
to grow. I've
she had
always
the ace
wanted
of
to learn.
spades in the
Right,
tuck.
right.
Yeah, I
She had
came
the
out
ace of
with
spades in
it.
the tuck.
I came out with it. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
you know,
That's good though.
that's,
That's real good. I think what I will say is I think all four of us have one thing in common, regardless of traditional, non-traditional, grandparents, both parents, whatever the case may be. We all had to fight through something, right? We all had to get over some hurdle. We all had to battle something. We all had to overcome something, because if we didn't, then who knows where we would be, at this very moment. So
True.
we can all say that life didn't deal us the best hand, but we still were able to flip the deck and say, you know what, I got the ace of spades sitting in my back pocket, or I know how to count cards, and I was able to turn
Hey,
this four
I
of
do too.
impossible to a six,
Right.
something like that. Like wherever the case may be. But one thing,
I was
one
gonna
one
say this
thing,
nine
one
eight finna
question.
run.
Right, right, exactly. Like I'm gonna make something shake with that. But I do have one question for you all. You all gave us your experiences and things that you had to embrace growing up, which is amazing. But I want all you all to go through a line and use one word to describe what those experiences made you or helped you turn into or help mold you, I guess I can say. So, for instance, my life experiences, one word I would use to describe what that made of me would be resilient. And I'll leave it at that. Everything I went through made me very resilient. So, what word would you use to describe you as a person in this very moment?
Um,
I think,
Determined.
Okay.
joyful.
Okay.
I'm gonna say strong because you stole my word. My word was resilient, but I'm gonna say strong.
Look, we could run it back. We could run it back two times. Um, Determined, joyful, resilient twice. I like that. I like that for sure. No one used anything. No one used a negative word. No one used broken,
Oh, I hate
defeated.
that word. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know, right? It makes my skin crawl. I'm over here
Nah.
itching right now just saying it. Um, so with that being said, there are some people that take a life experience, right, and they let it weigh on their emotions, and they let it weigh and weigh and weigh, and they do everything based off of their emotions, right? So one thing we all can say, and when I say this, everyone's going to shake their head, yes, is you can't act, you have to learn how to not act on your emotions, right? Life situations and life experiences ultimately shape your emotions. They either make you a happy person or they make you a very bitter, mad person, or it
Big,
makes you a
big
little bit
life
of
changer.
both,
Yeah.
A little
right?
bit of both.
So,
Ain't nothing wrong with
yeah,
both.
yeah, a little bit of both, right? So, going throughout life, you have to remember and understand to never lead with emotions when it comes to anything that you're not actively doing. If you are actively doing something which is going to impact your emotions, you have every right to act on those emotions because guess what? You're controlling them. But if someone else is doing something and their actions impact your emotions, that is the ultimate red flag, right?
Yep.
That
Yes.
is how you can get through any type of situation. Because you all just described some really interesting situations, and thank you guys for sharing those. You guys are here, you're smiling, and you're able to talk about those situations. That's the kicker. That's the part that's the climax to it all. Is you're able to talk about it in a healthy space. So that's letting me know that at some point in time, you got your emotions in check and said, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm not going to let this overpower me as a person. And once you did that, that's when you started winning. That's when you started succeeding in life. So I think that is probably the best thing that you can take from this. But one question I do have for you all, and we might get real deep into this topic, but I'm really really interested to ask this question. So one first part to the question is sorry, your surroundings, the area you grew up in during these times that you just described. Could you give us a little insight to that? And then two, the area that you grew up in, the surroundings and the people that made up your community, did they have an impact on the cards you were dealt in life?
Um,
Damn.
Meg, you look like you thinking real hard. You look like you got something
Oh,
juicy.
I was
Like you
actually,
look like
I
you got.
was honestly, I was trying to get it all in my head. I was like, all right, question one,
Oh,
Right.
question two.
yeah.
Question
Let me
number
look
one.
at that to you.
So look. I'm gonna run it back for y'all. Question one. Um, we can kind of join them together. Um, the area and the community that you grew up in, did that have any type of impact on your upbringing with the cards that you were dealt? Did you have to go to the corner store to feel loved because, what I'm saying, something was going on, at the house? Or did you have to go to the corner store to get a meal because, whatever the case may be? More
Right.
so in a sense is what I was getting at.
Um,
um, honestly, nah. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. My grandparents didn't allow it.
Okay.
They didn't
Okay.
allow it. So like, nah, I can't go to the corner store.
Okay.
I'm gonna get in the car and we can go to the store. But
Right, right.
walking to the corner store or just hanging out, no, they did not play that. I couldn't even
Okay.
walk to school.
Wow.
Okay.
I couldn't even walk
Okay.
to
Okay.
school, and we stayed like 3 blocks away from the school.
Got you. Got you.
So
mm,
they wasn't letting me get trapped in the environment.
Mm.
mm.
Got you. Got you.
That's
I like
that's
that.
that's
I like
that's
that.
it.
I
That's
like
right
that.
there. I
Yeah.
got that.
I like that.
They
I
knew.
like
They knew
that.
what they were doing.
I
So
like that.
like,
I like that.
so like me, I think like because I didn't have that communication and like if there's a lot of stuff going on in the crib. I mean, I know everybody goes through stuff and whatever, but like not only there was no communication, there was a lack of affection and love being shown in the house. So um I found that in my friends. I found that in my circle of friends. And growing up, like elementary school. So it was weird because I was my parents, okay, again, immigrants, right? I was born here, but my parents were born in Mexico. But they did really well for themselves, and they had me when they were like in their 30s, late 30s. So they set themselves up good, right? I'm living
Right.
in I'm living in a mid, or what do you call, middle class neighborhood, with surrounded by, like, nothing but middle class people. Um
Right.
so um I went to school, and it was, at the time, we're talking back in the 80s, so 90s, early 90s. Um, at the school that I went to was predominantly white people. And I think it was me and one other kid that was Mexican. And then, and then there was, black people, and that's all there was. So, this kind of off, but like I wasn't really like accepted, um, by like white kids. Like, I used to get called like a monkey and stuff, and because I was like really hairy, I like had a lot of hair, and I was a lot darker, and they used to like make fun of me. So anyway, I grew up with a lot of my friends, and they weren't even in my area. They were in another area. And my sister just so happened to live in that area, so I used to go to my sister's all the time to be around all my friends.
Right.
And what CP's talking about, the environment, like it exposed me to different environments. So, like, my parents didn't know what I was doing because I'm going with my sister. So they're trusting my sister that
Right.
I'm with my sister, I'm
Right.
cool. But now I'm like a bunch, like around a bunch of other stuff. Like, so my sister lived in subsidized housing. So she was like on Section 8 or whatever. But anyway, because I was looking for love somewhere else, like looking for that attention, could be able to communicate with people, and like even my sister, I'd been guiding myself. Like, I really was exposed to a whole different like culture, a whole different like everything, and it was fun. I had fun. I'll be honest with you. Like, I was riding my bike all everywhere and pool, like, but like I said earlier, it was the blind leading the blind. I'm getting my information from my friends. We're the same age. We don't know nothing. So,
Right. Right.
it was just, I definitely went outside of the home to look for things that, fulfilled, that I should have gotten from home to fulfill me. So, it did definitely play a part into some of the decisions that I've, made growing up, and things that I was surrounded myself very you got comfortable with, and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very understandable for sure.
Yeah.
Miss Cece.
I feel like for a little bit, my little community, it was my family. It was my grandma's. So like I didn't have to go anywhere to look for love or to try to be able to communicate. Communication, me and my biological mom, that was definitely a no. So I knew not to go that way. Not gonna go down that path to look for any type of communication. But I had that with my
Yeah.
grandparents. I do feel like when I
Nice.
moved, I feel like I was almost in two different game of spades because I was on the south side of Chicago, and then outside of that, I was out here. So I'm dealing with two different communities. Out here in the country, I could ride my bike up to the corner store. I could hang out with my friends. I went to my friends for love back in the city with my grandparents. It was them. I didn't have to go anywhere to search for anything. So I did have moments of, like Megan said, the blind leading the blind. Well, my friend said this, so that's what we're just gonna go with. And it's definitely shaped me. I done went down some paths dealing with the blind leading the blind, but I will definitely say my community has been, it was always my grandparents. So I didn't have to really search for too much. I did struggle with love for a while, and that was just from wanting love from my biological mom. But it took me a while to realize that the rest of my cards in my hand, they were all the love that I needed. That was all the communication that I needed. That was all the support that I needed. And they were there. They were like my solid cards that weren't gonna go. I knew I was gonna win that hand. So, I've
Right.
always had
Right.
some in the back of my pocket, in my hand somewhere. So yeah.
I like that. I like
Would
that. I like that for sure. So this leads me to a very interesting topic, right? So we all went through those hurdles. We all got past them. And I'm gonna bet the house that you all wanted to work so that your children didn't have to go through that, right? Like you don't want your kids to experience anything you went through, whether it was living with, in an area where you had to turn to your community or not being in a traditional household. You wanted your kids to beat that. So there are some people, like we said at the beginning of the show, that already have that set up, right? They have it, their life is set up to beat the odds. When you take your situation where you had to beat the odds and you want to turn it around for your kids, do you all view that as reverse gentrification in a sense? Because you're taking your situation, you're beating the hurdles, flipping a narrative, and then putting them in a better situation. What do you think that does for the people that didn't have to beat the odds?
I like what
well,
you
that's
did there.
good.
I
That's
like what you
good.
did there. I like what you did
I
there.
like how you did that.
Yeah,
That was good. That was
I don't.
good.
Yeah.
I
I see
definitely
what
don't
you
want my kids to go
Oh
through
did.
what I went
man.
through.
Hmm.
Mm,
right,
Yeah,
right,
in a way, I could see
yeah.
that it's being reversed gentrification because how I set them up, they're not gonna have to depend on like government assistance. They can go and build lots and houses and whatever, and do whatever they want to do, and not rely on nobody.
right,
But
right.
yeah, no, that's about it. Because I'm, and you already know, Josh, because I got my hands
Yeah,
everywhere. I got my hands in everywhere, everything,
right, right, right,
trying to find a way to make sure that
right.
they straight.
That's what's up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna agree. Like even with my side business, I'm trying to make sure that my baby is set. Like she doesn't have to go through these struggles. Like even with my 9 to 5, like I do loans and taxes. So I'm learning as
yeah,
I'm working so that I can better myself. But I'm also trying to better the little
right,
generation, the little people that's about to come up because once I'm old, it's gonna be on her.
right, right,
I want to make sure that she's straight. I want to make sure because she's straight, mommy's gonna be straight. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just for me, it's for me
nice,
and it's for
nice.
her. And it's if I have any other children, it's gonna be for them too.
Um, yeah, I think that was a really good way to like, I guess like an analogy. Um, uh, definitely I think as when you go through things as a parent, you don't want your kids to go through them. You know, I feel like me having kids so young, it's this it's different. It's a little crazy. I never really understood that whole or not that I didn't understand, but it wasn't really relevant to me until I understood that whole babies having babies type thing. I had my kid when I was 16. I was 15 when I got pregnant. So my two oldest have gone through life with me. So, but in that sense, I think them seeing what I've gone through has already impacted them to where and what they went through to them not wanting those things and making better choices because they're pretty. I mean, they don't really be doing crazy things. Like when I think about things I was doing, I'm like, dang, I don't know what I did, but whew, good
Right,
thing they're not doing what I was doing when I was their age, and
right,
um
Woo.
they still haven't had kids, which is whatever. It's not something that like if they did I would be whatever like upset about, but it's just I know how hard it is, so I'm happy about that.
right,
But with my younger three, because there's like a bit of a gap there, um I definitely like make wiser, conscious choices so I can, and I'm very vocal and communicate and try and just do my best to give them the knowledge. I can't really give them like other things because I didn't, once again, make some smart choices to where I'm at, but I can give them the wisdom and the things not to do and from my experiences to help them, when life comes and they do have to make certain, decisions and face things that they can be better and do better. Like, I definitely want them to do better. And they are already, so it's great. It's definitely that was a good analogy. You flipped that. Whew,
I could
for
tell y'all
real.
for a
That was
fact
good. It really was
he
good.
been
I
trying to
wasn't
think of how to do
expecting
that
that.
all week. I promise
Wasn't
you.
it?
I promise you.
Thank you, thank you.
And it just came. It just came. It was like,
I bet.
I know
yeah, that's what you
you
gotta
been
do.
getting that together.
Capture
He
the
saw the
moment.
moment and was like, "This is it. This is my moment."
Yeah, yeah, world. Yeah, look, world. When it comes to content creating, it is definitely something where your brain never shuts off. It's a 25-hour a day, 8 day a week type of job. And yes, I nailed it. So thank you. That is the raw and uncut aspect of podcasting, y'all, when it comes to making content blend. So yes, to your point, y'all definitely gave some great feedback to that question. I appreciate all of you guys opening up in the aspect of sharing your stories and giving us a little bit of background about you guys. I think this would be a great episode where you guys are able to dive deep and give the world just a little bit deeper look into who you are as people and what made you guys who you are today, and how you're looking to take those experiences and shape yourself into better people and help the world. So I know I'm confident that there was somebody out there that benefited from those stories because I benefited from them myself. So thank you guys personally. I appreciate it. And one thing that I can always say is no matter what you're going through, good, bad, indifferent, growing up in a community where you have to look to your community for help, having both your parents around and or getting it out the mud, as the little kids say, always remember to elevate your mind and your faith. And with that being said, till next time, y'all.